Hi guys, welcome to Book Time. My name's Julia. Today I'm going to be doing part 2 of my wrap up of the Readings Prize for New Australian Fiction shortlist. So I've been reading through the shortlist and reviewing the books as I go. And today, if I can just find the books, today I'm going to be having a look at Pink Mountain on Locust Island by Jamie Marina Lau, which was published this year by Brow Books. And then I'm going to be talking about The Lucky Galah by Tracy Sorensen, which was published by Picador also this year, I think. Let me just double check. Yep, 2018. So I liked both of these books. I really enjoyed reading them. I can't say I loved reading them as much as the previous two that I read, which were Flames by Robbie Arnott and The Fireflies of Autumn by Marino G. Vanoni. But I still liked them. So to start with Pink Mountain on Locust Island, I think I do like this more and more upon reflection, I think. And I did like reading it, but I think, as I said in my recent September wrap-up video, the information, like the blurb on the back of the book, I feel like didn't actually align with with the actual story, and so my expectations were a little bit skewed. So according to the back of the book, the blurb makes the book sound as though it's going to be this really intense, like sinister noir with a really outrageous sort of postmodern writing style. So it says, in bursts of fizzing, staccato and claustrophobic prose, this modern Australian take on the classic hard-boiled novel will bounce you between pulverised English, elastic Cantonese and the new dialect of a digitised world. So I was expecting like this crazy writing style and a heady descent into art, casino resorts, drugs, vacant swimming pools, religion, pixelated tutorial videos and senseless violence. So this almost sort of like, not quite dystopian, but this kind of, really dark and violent, kind of upsetting book. It wasn't that. So I would say this is more about the boredom and loneliness of being a teenager. And some dark stuff does happen, but let me start from the start. Okay, so it's narrated by a teenage girl called Monk who lives in Chinatown. She's a Chinese, like an Australian, but her parents are Chinese. And it sort of narrates her point of view. She meets this guy who's a bit older, I think he's 19, and she really likes him, but then her dad and this guy start making art together. Her dad's like this kind of alcoholic artist who's in a slump, but he meets this guy and they start making art together. And so Monk, the main girl, ends up being quite jealous of this guy's and her dad's relationship, because what she really wants is to be loved and accepted by her dad and to be loved and accepted by this guy she likes, who's sort of her boyfriend, but also just kind of a guy hanging around. So it's really about her feelings, her longing to be included. It is told in a reasonably experimental style. I mean, formally it looks, let me give you an example. It looks unusual. So it's told in these really short little sections. And at the level of sentence, Jamie Marina Lau can be quite playful with language. So her syntax will be quite unconventional, or the way she describes things. I think, let me give you an example from the first page. The bowl of cereal on the bench is a gelatine fantasy, rotten milk shivering like Anna Pavlova. So it's sort of like an interesting writing style, but I wouldn't say it's super outrageous. Like, it's still very easy to follow, I think. So if you're someone that normally doesn't like or doesn't get along with sort of unconventional writing styles, because sometimes they can be quite hard work. I feel like this one isn't hard work. It's quite easy to follow the main character's feelings and story. And I guess I just didn't connect with it. I feel like potentially the style, had it been more outrageous and more sort of postmodern and crazy, might have meant, it sounds strange, but I feel like maybe I would have connected to the character a bit more, because on the one hand it kind of wanted to be really experimental, but it also wanted you to connect with the character, and I didn't feel like I quite connected, and I didn't feel like it was quite as experimental. Well, not as much as it made it, as the back of the book made it sound like it would be. So, for example, by the end of the novel, the main character makes a couple of not revelations, but she kind of works out a few things and articulates them to her boyfriend about how she feels. But I wasn't quite convinced by it. I was like, oh, all of a sudden she's really articulate. Like throughout this book and story, she's been really struggling to sort of work out why she feels the way she does, why she's feeling jealous and uncomfortable and lonely. And then all of a sudden she like gets it. And I just feel like the development toward that point wasn't quite there. Maybe because the style didn't quite allow me to get into that mindset. What I think was really well done was the tone of the book. So it was sort of like this affectless boredom. I say affectless, I mean obviously the main character had a lot of affects and emotions, but it was narrated in this very kind of flat style, which is so accurate of like a teenager. Like I feel like it was really well done. That kind of sheen of I don't feel anything, I don't want to get involved in anything, but they do. Like they feel everything and want to get involved in everything. But yeah, I did like it, and I feel like it was a good book, and I definitely think this author is just going to get better and better. Like she's only 21 or 22 or something, so you know she's got many years ahead to hone her style, and she's just going to be incredible. Because this, I mean, obviously this is a really good book. It's just I feel like maybe I didn't connect with it as much as I could have, and yeah. But I liked it, and I do recommend it. So there's that one. The next one was The Lucky Galah. Both of these books have such nice covers, I have to say, by Tracy Sorensen. This was a really sort of nice, easy read. It's set in Western Australia in the 1960s during kind of the space race, so in the lead up to the moon landing, the American moon landing, because some of the Australian satellite dishes were involved in the communications necessary for the flight to the moon, and then also for televising it. So it's set in this town in Western Australia that has one of these that has one of these dishes, and yeah, it was good. I suppose the main thing to note about this book is it's narrated by a galah, and the reason, so this galah it's not only narrated by the galah, but the galah gets transmitted messages from the satellite dish. So at the start, it sort of explains how all the galahs can intercept messages. There's sort of a reason for it. But they don't just intercept the calculations and the mathematical stuff going on. They can actually tune into thoughts of the other people living in the town. And so what you get is a very close look at two families in the town, because the galah is able to intercept the thoughts of all the members of those families. Now, I quite liked that. I thought that was a really cool, like, unique idea. But I feel like maybe it wasn't quite developed enough. Like, to me, that idea felt a bit undercooked, and I wasn't sure. I feel like maybe the book would have worked better if it was simply a look at those families, like forget about the galah, and just look at the families, or have it narrated by the galah like it was, but have more, like, why did it need to be narrated by a galah? You know, what's so interesting about that? I feel like it didn't quite explore what was so interesting about having a galah narrate the story. So occasionally it did dip into it. It would dip into like how much the galah really loved its owner, or how sad it was that it couldn't fly around like a real galah. But I wanted more of that. I wanted more of what, you know, all the interesting things that could have been explored by having a galah narrator. And I felt like maybe it didn't need to be intercepting the messages. Maybe it just could have somehow known this stuff in another way. I don't know. Yeah, it just felt a little undercooked, but I still, like, it's still a really easy read. It's still like so much Australian nostalgia. I feel, you know, if you've grown up in Australia, you'll identify with so many things in it, like Vegemite sandwiches on white bread, and fairy bread, and lamingtons, and Country Women's Association baking, and, you know, all this country town sort of stuff. So that was nice. I suppose I feel like I didn't particularly connect with the characters, but I feel like a lot of other readers would like this book, and I also think a lot of other readers wouldn't be bothered by the fact that there wasn't more explanation of the galah. Like, I think some readers, and if you know, I looked at the Goodreads reviews, and it's had a lot of 5-star reviews, And a lot of readers just love the quirky fact of it's narrated by Galar, and they aren't bothered by the fact that it sort of doesn't explore that idea further. They just love the quirkiness of the idea. So, you know, even though this maybe wasn't for me, I definitely think it would be for other readers, because it's been very successful. Yeah, I just feel like maybe I didn't connect, like when there was sort of the emotional highs and lows, I didn't feel them maybe as I was supposed to, but some interesting stuff going on in here about family and relationships, and it's sort of just a little snapshot of country town life and people growing older and having kids and affairs and how it all works, really. So it was a nice read. I recommend looking up the reviews for yourself and seeing whether it might be something that interests you. So that was my reviews for those two. I feel like maybe it wasn't as exciting as my previous review for the readings shortlist, because I did like these books, but they didn't blow my mind as much as the first two that I read, Flames and The Fireflies of Autumn. But I definitely, as I said, recommend investigating the reviews and reading a sample online or something to see if they're for you. And hopefully soon I'll be back with my final wrap up from the shortlist, which will be Pulse Points by Jennifer Down and Sean Prescott's The Town, both of which I'm really looking forward to reading. All right, guys, thanks for watching. Bye.